Well, good evening, everyone. This is Tom here. Glad you're in here tonight. Randall, how you doing? Glad to see you made it. Dave from BNSFN Scale, how you doing, Dave? Hot Dog Andy, how you doing, Andy? How's everything over there across the pond? And the White Curly, how you doing? So having problems with that printer, I guess. So maybe you should just lubricate that Z-axis and see if that helps. They all make noise. Hey, Rare Artist, welcome. How you doing? So, how's everybody doing this week? Weather's getting a little warmer. It's in the 50s here today. Hey, Sparky, how you doing? Welcome. So, see if anybody else pops in before we go on with what I'm going to show tonight. Everybody saying hello to each other. It's good. And let's see if I can do this. Hey, Bernard, how you doing? Welcome. So, what you see behind on the top of my head behind me, that's a posture light. What that does is you have a spool of filament, and like that red color there, that when it came on the spool, it was all twisted and everything, and I had a hard time with it in the printer and everything. So you can take off the filament and put it on another spool with that device by turning it around. See a little better, like that. So this is the input. This is where your filament currently exists, and then that's an empty spool there. And then I take this part here. This is a drill bit, and I flip it over and put this in the chuck, and then this here fits perfectly in that hole there, right here. And then I put the drill in reverse, and it spins, and it takes the filament off of this spool and puts it onto that spool. It's called a pasta light. It's on Maker's World site, and I saw a video of this, and I said that's a cool idea. So I bought a spool from Bamboo Labs. This is what they put on their filament, these plastic ones, and then it comes apart, and then you can put it back together and slips in there somehow, like that, and that goes on there. And then that spool there, I 3D printed that one, and I 3D printed it a long time ago. Hey, Tammy and Ray, welcome. How you doing? I 3D printed it a long time ago, and I didn't like the way it came out. Had supports all over the place and everything, and then the other day I decided to clean off the supports, and then it came out pretty decent. So I'll print another one, and I'll have a couple of them in case I want to take a filament, because the cardboard spool holders, they have a tendency to deform and crack and break and stuff like that. So you have to be careful when you're using the ones with the cardboard ones. A lot of companies make them with plastic spools, and they're better, but not everybody does that. And the ones with the plastic spools, unfortunately, they have a big opening, and the hole is really big. And this part here is a lot bigger. And when I was using this, the Viper, it was fine. But on the AMS unit on my Bamboo Labs, you need the smaller hole like this to fit on the AMS unit. It fits snugly in there. So, yeah, milk does the body good. That's correct, Sparky. So that's one of the things that I was playing around with recently. And then I did a video of these. This was for Boxcar Jerry. He was having trouble printing this, and so I printed them on my printer with no problem. So I found out, I found the files that he was using, and just printed them. So I can put 4 wheels in here. Then I use my Woodland Scenics Tidy Track Painter Steel Red, which this is a rust color. And then I just paint the wheels, boom, 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 boom. And then you can just let this sit here on the desk, and then it dries, and then you can take them out. Hey, Heath, how you doing? Welcome. So then I was doing a lot of decals, and my girlfriend Barbara was helping me with the decals, and we were pretty close to knocking these bottles over all the time. We had them open, and you'd be working and stuff like that, and you never know. So what I did was I found a file that holds the microset thing, so I printed that out. So now they don't move. We put it on a table, and then you can just dip your paintbrush in there. Yeah, Dave, you can do N scale. All you have to do is scale it down. The file came with, this was the first one I printed just to see if it would work. And the guy who created these, he put 4 files in there. And he named the 4 files all the same name. Well, that doesn't work on a Windows machine, because when you have a file name and you have the same file name, you have to name it something different, right? So he didn't name them. And then I downloaded the individual files, and then I named them 1, 2, 3, 4. Then when I put it on my slicing program, I noticed that the number was on the side. So I set it up. I painted the number white, so that's how you got the white 33 there. But that's 36, but that's a white one. And then this was 28, and I said, oh, okay. So I renamed the files 28, 33, 36, and you had a 38 one in there. So I don't know. I never seen a 28 wheel or a 38 wheel, only 33s and 36s. Hey, Floyd, welcome. Glad you're in here. So, yeah, it's just a matter of making these holes the right size for N scale wheels. I would need to have a N scale wheel, then I could, fix this to do your N scale for you. Can you do that in N scale 36-inch wheels? Yeah, we can do. You can make them any size you want, but I need to know. I don't have any N scale cars here that I can check it. Hey, Grandpa Rails, welcome. So make them. I would need a wheel to see, to get the right size, and then redesign this to make it fit for N scale. So makes it easier than holding it with something. Before I was using a alligator clip and holding the wheel and then doing each individual one. That was a pain in the neck. This is a lot better. And I don't know if you saw Jerry's live stream, but this slides apart like this. Put the four wheels in there, and then you just slide it back together like so. If I can line up on the screen, and then it goes back together, and then that's how you keep all the four wheels in there. So that's what I've been working on, and other things too, like on the desk here. I have these. These are the cars that I was working on, and then what I do is I paint the trucks with a burnt umber wash, and then that makes them look like a rust color. So I don't know if you can tell that or not in here, but that's what the color looks like, and it comes out pretty good. I like it for what I want. And then I got tired of holding the cars here, and they would wobble and everything. And go get them, JD. Thanks. And then you got the tank cars with that dome on it, and that's hard to lay on the table. So I then made these holders for the cars. Now you can work on them. Same thing with the engine. Thanks, JD. So this here is my Conrail engine. I got this at a train show. I don't remember which one it was, and I was having trouble. And then I went down to Joe Rader's house, and he helped me isolate the engine and everything, and we put a decoder in, and then it burned out. So it was the metal inside this engine was really tough. I burned out one of my Dremel tools trying to cut out the holes to put the speakers in, because the speakers were too big, and the baffle was too big, so I had to cut out the metal there area, and this was really tough. And then you couldn't solder on that metal either. So we had it running, but then something shorted out and the decoder went bad. I had to send it back to Soundtracks, and then I finally got it back again, and never got around to working on it. Then I decided to work on it again, and then of course the decoder shorted out again. I go, what the heck's going on here? So what I did was, instead of trying to solder the wire onto the metal part, I drilled 2 holes into the metal, and then tapped them, and I put 2 screws in there, and then I was able to solder onto the screw, and then I put the liquid electric tape over top of the connection and everything, just so it wouldn't get bad or anything. So got it all, the decoder put in, the engine came on, I had sound, headlights, all worked. Went to move the engine, and the engine wouldn't move. It would move a little bit. I could see the 2 gears on the trucks, on the engine. There's 2 gears there, and then those gears work the gears inside the truck that turn the wheels and all that. And I'm not too familiar with that stuff. I don't work on the details like this that often. And I was going, what the heck's going on? And so what I did was I took I was on Jerry's live stream this afternoon, and I asked the question, hey, one gear is moving and the other one isn't. And then a couple of guys said, well, you got a bad gear, bad motor, or whatever. So the bad gear triggered something in my brain. I said, okay. I took the truck off the engine and took all the gears out and then cleaned them all. There was some dirt on the teeth of the gear, and maybe that was stopping it. I don't know. So I took a toothbrush and brushed off all the gears and everything, put it all back together, and then the thing ran perfect. So it was a pretty easy fix to get it to go. And so then I put it all back together, and I couldn't close the one side of the engine because the speaker was just a little bit too high. So then I had to 3D print another baffle for the speaker, and then that was half the size. The baffle was 12 millimeters high, and then I created another baffle at 4 millimeters high and put the speaker inside that, and then it worked fine. So slightly used mini mill cheap shipping will cost though. Well, maybe I can find some N scale cars somewhere, and I'll just get one, and then I'll have the wheels, and then I can figure it out for you, Dave. I'll check it. Next train show I go to, I'll see if I can pick up a cheap N scale car, and I can work from that. So, but anyway, so then I got the engine, finally got the shell onto the chassis and everything, and then I ran it, and it ran back and forth, and no problem and everything. And then all I had to do was put the couplers on, and these grills or rails came off on both ends. They popped off when I was flipping over. That's because I didn't have these holders. And so they were a bitch to get back in those little holes. Finally, I got them in, and now all I got to do is put this back on my workbench and get JMRI dispatcher up there and set all the CVs to the way I want to, and then I can put it up on my yard, and it's going to be in the yard moving cars around, stuff like that up there. So that's what the plan for this is. So so let me see if I can get my cameras back up there again. There we go. Okay. So you all know that's the subway system. Haven't run trains in a while. The track's all clean, but I'm working on all my turnouts right now. And if I make this screen bigger, right here, you'll see 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 that are Alpha Centrals, and there's room for one more, which is coming. When I originally decided to go this way, I just bought one Alpha Mimic, and then I ordered one Alpha Mimic board. These are Alpha Centrals and Alpha Mimic board. And then here, these are the LEDs for the turnouts. So right around there, there's a turnout. All up here, turnouts. All here, turnouts. There's turnouts. So they all light up. But then I said, okay, I got all the lights working for the lower level first. I worked on the lower level first. That was the hardest to do because I had to crawl under the layout. And I have to army crawl to get over to the other end so I can get up behind the layout and stuff like that. So as long as I can still do my army crawls, I can get to wherever I need to get to. So anyway, I got the lights, and I said, okay, good, they're working. So now I need to get the rest for the turnouts. So I went online, went to Iron Planet Hobbies, and they didn't have the red and the green LEDs in stock anymore. And this was only a week later than when I got it. So then I said, okay, well, they have red and green packs. I said, okay, when you buy these lights for the Mimic boards, you get 24 lights in a pack. So I figured, okay, why not? Thanks, Dave. Why not? You probably get 12 red ones and 12 green ones. And so I ordered 2 packs of those. There would be 4 packs of those, red and green. And because I have 61, 62 turnouts, 61 turnouts right now. There'll be a 62 turnout. See where the bikini girl is? Well, right here, there's a turnout going into this siding, into this grain building. I'm expanding the grain building, and I'm going to put another siding right along, right where those cars are sitting. They're sitting on grass right now, but I'm going to have 2 sidings there. So, and I need another turnout, so that'll be my 62nd turnout. So, hey, Mike, how you doing? Welcome. So, the order came in from Iron Planet Hobbies with the red and green LEDs, and I said, great. So I got done with the first 12 with the Mimic board, and I had ordered Mimic boards and the rest of these Alpha Centrals from DCC Concepts in England, and then they came in. So now I'm going to set up the Mimic board. This is a Mimic board, okay? And you plug in each light into one of these ports. Let's see, one of these ports on the Mimic board, right? So I go and I put in, I have to run extra wire because I mount this somewhere centrally located, and then I can run wire to each one of the lights, and then they plug into here. So each light has a connector that goes directly into the Mimic board, but you can't put them all in the same place, right? So what I did was I cut off the ends of the lights, the light LEDs, and then I would solder a longer wire onto the end, which would then plug into each port on the Mimic board. Okay, and then you address the Mimic board with the address of the turnout. So my first turnout is 100. So I would address this as 100, and then it would make this 100 through 111. Then the next one would be 112 through 123, and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. How did you build those turnouts? No, all my turnouts are, I use 2 different types of turnouts. I have Atlas. Atlas is mainly my turnouts, and I have a few Pico turnouts. Matter of fact, the next one I'm putting in is a Pico curved turnout for that number 62 turnout. I have a 3-way switch on the layout. That's a Pico. Nobody else that I know of makes a 3-way. Only Pico does. That's a code 100. So I use code 83 on my layout. So I had to use those special rail joiners to connect the 83 to 100. and then I have a Pico double slip up on my third level, and we'll show that in a minute. I'm going to tell you about what's going on up there next. But anyway, we go back to this, and so when I put the LEDs in here, the new ones I got with the red and the green packs, when I turned on the board, both lights came on. Now, with the red and the green individual packs, the green is on, the red's off. When I switch the turnout to the Virgin, it goes red on, green off. And that's what I like, because I want to look at my turnouts and I can tell if anything's diverged or not. So with these other lights, they both came on, and I switched the turnout, and the one would turn green and the other one would turn red. Then when I switch it back, the other one would turn red and the other one would turn green. So they are red and green LEDs. Well, if I would have known that when I designed this holder for the LEDs, I would have just designed a single hole, but I was going with a red and green LED. I didn't know. And because then I could have saved space, because behind all this fascia, there's turnout motors, there's shock detection devices, BD20s, there's NCE lighted. Everything is behind there, and wire is hung up there. Right, lots of spaghetti there. Yes. Well, JD, I had to drop the wire down so I could work on connecting the LEDs up. It's a lot easier to have the wires drop down. And yeah, hindsight is 2020. That's right, Dave. Then I can run them through the zip ties that are holding the wires together, and I can run the wires through the same zip ties. So once I'm done with these lights, then all those wires will be back up and hidden behind the fascia. That's the plan anyway. So then I said, oh crap, now I gotta go out and buy the LEDs, green pack and a red pack. Well, Iron Planet Hobbies only had red, they didn't have the green. So last Friday, I then went back to DCC Concepts, and I put in an order for the green LEDs and one more Alpha Central, because this takes me up to turnout number 159, and then I got 160 and 162. And if I ever add any others, I'll have some room to add some more if I need to, but I'm not sure yet what I'm going to do. So anyway, so I ordered it from them. And when I placed the order, I went back to check it again online, and it said payment needs to be made. Well, I made payment, so I used a different credit card. Nothing. Used another credit card. Nothing. Used a fourth credit card. Nothing. I went on my banks and checked, hey, do I have a credit limit that I'm exhausting? No. All my credit cards were valid. So I emailed them. I said, hey, you guys having problems with your system? I know it's the weekend. Maybe nobody's working. They're not checking it. I don't know. But then Monday, they finally replied back and said, hey, your credit card went through and your order is going to be shipped out in a couple of days. You'll get a message from, I don't know, what's that mail? I don't know what their mail service is called over there. I can't remember. But so it's on its way. Then I can finish up all these and get rid of all those wires. Yeah, right. I know. I have that many. I have extra ones. Well, when I get something, I don't like to send it back unless it's faulty, ready to go. So I might be able to use those LEDs for something else. Royal Mail, that's it, Andy. Yep, that's who it is. Thank you. Couldn't remember that name. So that's what this is. So I had enough LEDs to do 24 turnouts, and these hold 12. So I said, okay, I put the second one in, and I got all the way to the last turnout, and it was port number 7L. You got 1L and 1R, 2L, 2R, et cetera, up to 12L and 12R. And I go, huh. Yeah, that's, yeah, right. So I go, 7L wasn't putting out any power. So this was the other day in the morning, and I know my buddies over across the pond are, no, it was Royal Mail, Andy. That's how I asked for it to be shipped, Royal Mail. I should have put DHL, but Royal Mail worked the last time, so I didn't have a problem. But then they transfer it to the U.S. Post Office, which I'm not a fan of right now. And so anyway, the guy, I emailed the guy. I said, "Hey, I don't know what's wrong with this port. I have no clue." And I had it mounted, and when you have it mounted like this on the, underneath the layout there, to get behind there to put that little connector into that slot, it's not that easy. You have to get it lined up, push it in, right? Well, I don't know. I must have bent the pin. I didn't realize that. So he emailed me back within an hour of my email and said, "Hey, look for the pin. See if the pin's bent." Sure enough, it was bent. So I then took a small jewelry screwdriver I had and got on the side. The pin was bent all the way over to the edge of that slot there, and you could hardly see it. I had to put my other glasses on. Then I got the screwdriver, a flathead screwdriver, and I just got behind it, and then the thing just popped right back into position. It was really weird. So then what I did was, as a test, I don't know if you can see it hanging, but it's right there. That's the board that I had the problem with 7. And I just put that there. That's where I'm going to put the other one for the third level turnouts, because it's a closer distance to run the wires and stuff. So, and I tested number 7L with one of those LEDs that I had, and it worked. So, so that's that. And this wire right here, this is a turnout from the third level. That's a low number, and it's number 119, and 119 is on this second alpha central right here. You can see my mouse right on the screen, right? Because I'm moving it on my computer on the camera. You should be able to see that there, and that's the one I'm pointing to. I wish I could make the mouse bigger, but it's right there, that one there. So, like I said, these are all numbered 100 to, and at the end there, 159 right now. 159 is up in the subway. That's going to be 159 and 160. It's a double crossover up there. So 2 addresses I'll use. So I haven't set them up yet. They're the only 2 that I haven't changed over. I had to renumber the some of the turnouts to get a sequential numbering system, because these devices, these alpha centrals, when you set address 100, then it automatically addresses each button in sequence. So it'd be 100, 101, 102, 103, etc. So they were talking about allowing you to address each button individually, but they haven't come out with that yet. So I just had to rename about 5 or 6 turnouts to get them in sequence. When I was building the systems, I went, I started out at 100 and went to 108, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, et cetera, et cetera. And then when I got to the 120s, I skipped 125 and 126 because I was having trouble with the double crossover up there, and I had 4 different addresses trying to get it to work, and those 2 addresses I took off and never used them again. So I had to reuse those numbers. So that's how it worked. So if I bring this camera down now, I want to show you the 3rd level, what I'm doing up there, this guy here. Okay, these are the containers that Barbara and I put the decals on. These are all that I 3D printed recently. I redesigned them to have a pin and holes. So there's a pin at the bottom and holes at the top. I had to drill out the holes a little bit on some of them to get the pin to fit in there properly. Because I was having problems when the train would come around a corner or something. The pins, the container on the top would slide or even fall off. So the pins will hold them in place. And we did all them all along back to here and back behind there, and there's the caboose. So you can't see some of it because of the substation there. But different brands and stuff like that. Some 20 footers underneath. There's K-Line 24 footers. I think these are FedEx box containers here. Costco, Hapag, Lloyd, and OOCL, stuff like that. They're the brands. And there's 20. I got 10 well cars there. They were all 3D printed, and they're all individuals. They're not accumulated like the other ones I had, which were deep uncoupling when they were coming around, and these here won't uncouple. So I got to get this train going. But turnouts, this train has there's a turnout here, and they're need to be set up properly so I know which way they're going, stuff like that. So as we move the camera over, I'm going to move it around. I got to give some love to my my oil fields. Okay. So with this panel and everything that I've been working on with those Alpha Centrals, I said now it's time to set up my turntable better. So I finally decided to put on this glue, super glue here. This is CYA fixed super glue. And you better have a well-ventilated place when you use this stuff. Whoops, got out of my hand. Because when I put that on the ballast, because the ballast I was always cleaning ballast out of the bed of the turntable. And so I said, this is, I can't have this. So then Darryl gave me the idea of using super glue, because he super glues all his track ballast. I wouldn't do that, but I just wanted to do it around here because I didn't want any ballast to fall into the bed. So I super glued all the tracks around. Let me get my mouse over here. All these tracks, for 4 or 5 inches in, and then all the leading into the roundhouse, and these tracks back here are all super glued down. There's this one screw right there I got to take out. I had the track screwed down to get them. I wish they did. That'd be pretty cool. But yeah, they go all around the layout too. Those towers. They were all 3D printed, and then that's this black thread. I got a thicker grade of thread, and that makes it looks like wires there. So then all those blue signs you see there, they're all around my layout, and they point out what the siding name is. So I have a number S01 to S whatever the highest siding is. And when I originally put this turntable in, I just made these service tracks 1 through 12 because I have 12 tracks going around the turntable. And I said, well, I have to renumber these. So I got to the console and I set up the lead track. That's S35, and then this is, I think, S25. This here small siding. I had my 44 tonner sitting on that track. I have since taken it off and been running it around the track just to get it running. It hasn't been running for a while. But so I got that one labeled. I got this one labeled up here. Wait a minute. I got this here is S25 and this is S35. And so I got this one labeled, and the turntable moves around to it. And then I told you guys before that I had a bus line that fell down, and I had to put a new bus line in. So all these tracks I had to test for polarity, and some of them worked and some of them didn't, and I just had to flip the wires on the feeders to get them to match up. So I got them all tested out, and then it was late at night that I got to this last one right here. This track back here goes back to the wall, and I said, that's it, I'll do the rest of them tomorrow morning. So I turned off the system, and then I got up in the morning and I turned on the system, and I started, I moved the bridge to the S35 because I wanted to run another train, another engine in here just to test. And so I said, okay, move the turntable to this here at the roundhouse, and it started moving really slow. I could hit the button and it would move around at a normal pace, but this was moving. It was crawling. And then I got to the track finally, and then I did a back arrow and a forward just to line it up. You can tweak it to get it lined up perfect with the track. And then I ran the engine in. There was no polarity problem on that track. And I said, okay, now I'm going to set the number to match the blue tag up there on the wall, or I don't know, that's a wall. I call it a wall. But I have the 4 different tracks labeled. We'll just say it's S31 for now. So I go And on the controller for the Walters turntable, you hit the track button, and then track 01 comes up by default. Then you have to hold the track button in until the 01 starts flashing fast. That tells you that you're in programming mode. Then you can go and change the track number that you're on to whatever number you want it to be. Then you hit the button again, and then it sets that number to be programmed into the controller of the turntable, and then you have that number reserved. Well, when I was hitting the track button and holding it in place, I was getting dashes going across the screen. Okay, Andy, have a good night. Thanks for stopping in. Appreciate you. And so it was flickering and everything. I go, what the heck's going on? I turned off the system, turned it back on. It still did the same thing. I have a second controller back here on this wall. Well, it's the fascia. And I have another one mounted there. So when I'm back, I can get back in this area here. It's all open space back there. I can crawl under the layout and then pop up there. I got a two-step stool back there. I can get there, and then I can see this a lot easier than from down below. And so I tried out that controller, and I says, it did the same thing. I'm going, what the heck's going on? So then I called up Walters and got a hold of the support guy, and then he said, I told him what had happened, and then he said, well, it sounds like you got a bad electronics controller on your turntable. It's underneath the turntable. It's held up by 4 screws. You just take the 4 screws out and you replace that unit. So he's sending me out a replacement. So I forgot to call him today. They said this Wednesday to call. I'll call them tomorrow and see if they shipped it yet. Yeah. And then I can get this back and working. Because I cleaned all those tracks and everything, so they all work and everything. And the push buttons turn on the track power, and the lights come on the bumpers and everything. And inside the building, the lights come on in the stall that needs to be, stuff like that. So that all works after I had to plug all the wires back in and everything. It was a fun thing to replace that bus wire. So that's what else I was working on, but I can't do nothing until that controller comes. And that engine there's the only one. Let's see, I have that engine and the 44 tonner. They're the only 2 engines that don't have a Soundtracks decoder in it. That's a what the heck is that? Bowser. No, not a Bowser. It's a I can't think of the brand name. But anyway, it has a different decoder in it. And the 44 tonner is a Digitrax, because that was the smallest decoder at the time that I could fit in that. But now Soundtracks has a real small decoder, and I'm going to change it over to a Soundtracks. And maybe, no, not Stewart, Baldwin, no. What's that company that always has problems with their decoder? They have their own decoders. I'll have to look it up now. Now you got me curious. Engines. Where's my engines folder? Oh, they're up top here. Not scale trains. No, it's not a scale train. Scale trains are BLI. You got it, Mike. BLI. They're the ones. So, yeah, that's right, JD. BLI. So, going to change them over to, and maybe this guy here I'll change over to a soundtracks decoder eventually. But yeah, MTH did have some trouble too. Matter of fact, my 2 subway trains are MTH because yeah, that's what I would think too, Bernard. But no. So yeah, but this runs. It's just that it sits up here on the sits in the engine shed, which is on the same level, and or no, it's on the it's on in the yard, and I just brought it up here to run on the turntable. It was a lot easier because I have a SD70 CE sitting back here a bit. If we can get to it, I'll show you. Let's see. There we go. That guy there. I was testing the double slip, and he was going back and forth, but I didn't want to test him on the turntable because when I hit 0 speed step, he still coasts to a stop, and there's not much room on the bridge. So the BLI, I have it set to be when I hit 0, it stops right away. So that's why I use that to test the turntable out, and because I want realistic stopping on the train, so I have it set to go a certain distance after you hit 0. Now I could hit function F11 and hit the brake, but that's 2 different keys. You know, you have to have 2 different keys to do that on. So it's that's just that's just the way that was. So let me zoom out of here. I think I'm zoomed out already. Yeah, that. Go back over. There's another container car. So I got the train that runs that is sitting over here. So I have to move the trains back so that I can hook them up to the rest of the trains. There's 4 engines on that train. And then on here, this guy, up here, these are my oil tank cars train. No engines are there right now because they're sitting on the helix right now. And yeah, that's right. It's always a lot of fun moving these cameras around. But and then I had 2 engines on this train, and I thought maybe I better get a 3rd engine. So that'll be a 3-engine train pulling all those tank cars. So again, I don't want to mess around running trains without my turnouts fully functional. So probably another week or so. I don't know how long it's going to take to get the package from England to finish up the turnout project. I need those green LEDs and stuff. So it's just one thing after another. But Yeah, that's why I don't like doing too many things at once. Like one day I didn't have much to do, so I decided this shelf here to put some track on it, and then I put the engines that need to have some work on it. And like these two switchers in the background here, this one and this one, they had decoders in them, but they weren't running right. So I'm gonna, they were DH123s or something like that, I think. So this is an engine here that I had to switch out the motor on it, and then I can put a decoder in it, and then a rip shelf. Oh, well, yeah. And then this engine here I got from Jason, the train freak. I don't remember what it was doing. And that one there, I got to put a decoder in it. Yeah. So, but that's just a little work to do. It seems that their streamers fare better than their diesels in terms of reliability. I'm not sure. Yeah. Well, maybe they only concentrate on one thing, Randall. That's what it sounds like to me. Well, that BLI engine I had, it was, I think it was version 3 of their decoder, and I was having all kinds of issues with it, and then I sent it down to them, and then they put version 4 in it, and a keep alive in it, and they didn't charge me anything for it. I just had to pay for the shipping down to them, and then they sent it back to me. So that was nice. But every once in a while, when you start it, it hiccups. But then once it gets going, then it runs. So, yeah. Yeah, they might work for somebody else, and then they don't work for somebody else. You know, who knows? Like you could buy 20 engines of the same brand, and 19 of them work and one don't. So it doesn't matter. You can get Rapido engines. You can get soundtrack engines. I have one soundtrack engine, which I converted over to one scale train engine that I converted over to soundtracks with the good old friend of Decoder Buddy. So that took me a lot of time to get that working, but that works, runs fine. That's my passenger train engine. Oh, here's something. This is another little project I'm working on. If I can get it down further, will this go down to my workbench? Right there. Here, these are double deck passenger cars. I got New Jersey Transit decals on. You can't see them. Have a good one, Dave. Thanks for stopping in. Appreciate it. And when I put them on the track, and they had LED, they had a light in them, and they lit up on my test bench. No problem. Put it on a track, they shorted out. Couldn't figure out why. So I took it apart. I 3D printed a new bogie for it, and I put the wheels on it, and it rolls on the track fine. But now I got to get some more take it easy, Dave. Thanks for stopping in. Appreciate it. And I got Appreciate it. I have to put a wheel on it that has a brass tube on it so that I can solder a wire on there, and then I get power to light up the cars. So I have to get a couple of them wheels. But I think these are 36-inch wheels. I wasn't sure. I didn't check them out. I got to find out what size the wheels are. Then I can get them from my buddy that makes these wheels with the brass tube on it. And I use them on a lot of my cars that I like put the Freds on and stuff like that. So yeah, so that's another project that I wanted to get, because when I raised the bridge on the level where these passenger trains run, I then now can run double stacks underneath there, because I raised that bridge just for the Mevo camera. And then I said, "Ooh, I can run a double stack well car underneath there." And then I said, "Ooh, I can run double stack passenger cars underneath there." So I got a set of 3, and I gotta work on them to get them on that train eventually. But the Mevo camera, I was testing it on the Helix, and I went from the bottom to the top, and it hit a couple spots. I nailed down my track on the Helix, and the nails were, I don't know, ½ inch long, and they went through the gator board, and they were sticking out. The Mevo was catching it on some of the spots. And when I clean the Helix, I put my hand up there and I run the vacuum up there and clean it off, and clean off the dust off of the sides and the track and everything. And my hands would all get cut up from the nails sticking down. So the other day I just took my cutters and I cut all the nails off from underneath there. So it's a multi-purpose project. Clean, and now I can clean without getting my hands cut up, and now the Mevo camera will go up without any glitch. A couple of wires that I had running across the bottom, I had to tape up to get there, and then I had some pieces of gator board supports holding up a section, and I had to cut through them so the Mevo would go through that section. So it was, a couple of things. If we go to the Helix in the camera, this guy here, okay, nails were protruding underneath the levels where the track was, and the Mevo was sitting there. Right now the Mevo is sitting up here. It got all the way up to the top. I have one car, Mevo camera, and an engine. I think the engine's inside the tunnel, and the Mevo is right there. It's black, so it's hard to see it. And then these buildings here, I drilled holes in them, and that's where those the light LED holders are going to hold, and they'll be the spots for those turnouts to have the red and green light. So they'll be in there once I get those LEDs. So I'll do a video showing them all lit up, and you'll see that coming soon. So, but so now I can clean the Helix a lot easier without scraping my knuckles. The other day, all my knuckles on both my hands were all cut up, and now they've healed since then. But it's like, so I just took my snips and snip away. Once the track is solidified, I'm going to just glue it in place. Then I can pop out the nails. There's some spots where the track is low and stuff. I got to put fillers in and stuff like that. So, well, guys, it's 9:06, and I've rattled off for over an hour here. Heath is coming on, and he's probably live already. And if anybody wants to drop off and go see Heath, that's fine. I'm going to be signing off here in a few minutes. Anybody got any questions for me? Now's the time. Hope everybody is having a good week, and I appreciate everybody that came in. And I try to, now that I'm retired, I can watch a lot more videos, but they just keep coming out more and more every day. And I can't work on my layout when I'm watching these videos. But I try to put them on and then go in the train room and work. But I like to comment when people are putting up their videos and stuff. So when I watch, I comment on. So, but like I say, I thank everybody for coming in. I really appreciate it. And I know who's doing Cab Crew Wednesday next week. It's usually Trackside Mike does the first week. And then after that, it's up in the air. So I might start doing the other weeks, and I'll see how that goes. So since I'm retired, I can plan all this out easier. So before I was working, I'd get home at 6 o'clock or later at night and make dinner. By the time I get done with dinner, it's 7:30. You only got a half an hour to prep for your show. I like about an hour time to prep, get things ready that I want to show, and things like that. So, all right, people, I'm going to end the stream now. Thanks again for stopping in. Everybody have a good night, and we'll see you all the next time. Everybody take care and enjoy the rest of your week. Yeah. So this is Tom. Take care.